Would you like to learn how to make easy cutting templates? Come on in. Hello, welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. This is Julia Laird, and today I want to cut another 12 by 12 piece of 49 and Market vintage artistry collection in coral. But these are some cards that I made out of one piece. So I wanted to show you a little trick that I like to do when I'm cutting a piece of paper that I kind of want to do some precise cutting on. Now on a piece like this that has an overall pattern, that's not that big of a deal, but if you look at the back of this piece, there's a really nice section here, and I want to capitalize on that. The rest of it is kind of a general overall pattern, so I'm not really worried about that. Today, I want to make a little cutting template, and I know this is kind of a simple idea, but I think it'll work just fine. I just have a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock in here just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I have taped in the no draw zones up here just to kind of stabilize a little bit. Now I know that I'm going to want to do some mini Slimline cards, and that will be 3 by 6. So I'm going to put some 3 by 6 lines on this cover, and I want to do 4 of those. So it's going to take a full half sheet of this paper. And this says 7, but I've got it set 1 inch in so that you can see it better on the camera. So this gives us the cutting marks for those first mini Slimline cards. I'm going to go ahead and put my edge down because you know these packages are a little bit larger than an exact 12 by 12, and I didn't cut it. I just made it to where I can slip a piece of paper down in there. You do have to be a little cautious and get your lines kind of correct on this, so just take your time. Now on this 6 by 12 piece we have some options. We could do 3 A2 size cards and just cut it at 4 inches, but I am more interested today in doing some square cards, so I have the option to do 4-inch square or 5-inch square. And I think in keeping with these larger size cards, this cut was just a little shy of 5 inches, so I think I'm going to stay with that format for today and cut these at 4 3/4. So I'm going to come from this side over here, and I'll show you why when we go over to the cutting. So there's 4 3/4, and I can see my mark up here for the 3/4 and down here. I need a little longer ruler, but I'm going to wing this because it's just a cutting guide. And then I'm going to want to be able to cut this in half. So that's 1 1/4 inches, and I want to take a 1/2 inch off of one side of that. So I have 1/2 inch and 3/4, and that gives me some flexibility when I go to use these strips. I can use them inside the mini Slimline card, I can use them for a piece of trim on the outside, or I can use them on these cards here. So I want to cut again at 4 3/4, and using my factory edge I want to come down 4 3/4. So that gives me a piece here in the middle that I can do something else with. So this is the concept, and then you see when you put your vintage artistry paper in, you can tell, I'm going to put it in this way because I think this is the way I probably will want to cut it. There. So that way you can tell you've got 4 nice mini Slimline cards. You've got 2 smaller square cards and 1 nice big focal image that utilizes that, and then you've got your strips. So I hope this helps you just in your thought process of how to plan cutting your piece of paper. You know, some of these papers are pretty expensive and we don't want to make cuts on them that we regret. So I'm going to take this over now to the cutting station, so come on with me and we'll go do that. Now the light may be a little challenging over here for recording, but you can see I have an old antique guillotine cutter that was my mother's, and it has a real nice sharp blade on it. And then I have a Dolly 440. This is the one we're going to use today. I'm sorry about the quality of this section of the video. This Dolly cutter is flat out fabulous. I just have to say that. I bought it from Amazon in an open box sale, so I got a really good price on it. And if you're looking for something that's really expensive like this piece of equipment is, check and see your other buying options. And if you have the opportunity to buy an open box, and this one was, it said used, excellent condition, like new, so I knew it was going to be just fine. So now let's see, my first cut is going to be at 9 inches because I'm cutting 3 inches off. And then I'm going to move down to 6. And then my next cut was a 1/2 inch. The reason that I do the 1/2 inch this way is because I get better control having a wider band down here to press against this flat bar that's here. If you were going to do, let's going to say we're going to cut the 4.5 inch off here, and then you end up with this little tiny piece out here that you're trying to cut, you know, that's not going to work for you. So I'm going to do 5.5, which gives me that 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to do down to the 4 3/4. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to cut my 4 3/4 off this way. And I'm going to use this other factory edge and do 4 3/4 that way. That gives me 2 nice square cards plus this extra piece that I can use for whatever I want to use it for. Now, these 2 strips here I'm going to leave long until I decide what I want to use them for. But these I want to cut down to 6 by 3. So it's easy to cut. Just cut it at 6 inches. Let me just mention while I'm here using this trimmer, every time you push this back and forth it self-sharpens. That's why it's making that noise. I use this all the time for cutting thick cardstock, and I have no problem at all whatsoever out of it. Now if I let the blade get a little dull, you can see it'll ribbon up a little bit on the paper cut, and all you have to do is run it 3 or 4 times like that, and you're good to go. I hope this has given you some ideas for templates for cutting your paper. Come back soon.